Hello everyone, Jack Molesky here. Last season, the Dubuque Fighting Saints partnered with John Deere Dubuque Works for the first ever Hockey for All month. During the month of February, the Saints and John Deere Dubuque Works worked to spread a message of diversity and inclusion around the greater Dubuque area using the sport of hockey as a catalyst. In hopes that this message continues to be spread, this February, once again, Dubuque is partnering with John Deere Dubuque Works and Dubuque Community Schools to celebrate Hockey for All. Now joined by head coach of the Fighting Saints, Oliver David, the general manager of John Deere Dubuque Works, Mark Dixon, and of course the superintendent of Dubuque Community Schools, Stan Reingans. And gentlemen, thanks for joining me today. Hockey for All, it's a tremendous month. It's something that we celebrated last year. Mark, you decided to start this partnership, and I want to start with you and for everyone, really, what does the message of Hockey for All mean, and why do you think that's such an important message to spread around Dubuque?
I think it's a message of inclusion. You know, I think we've all got a vested interest in making our community more inclusive community, and one that people really find attractive. And this is just one simple way, but we think a pretty impactful way of spreading the message of inclusion for our community. And we want it to be noted that it's different intentionally, right? So that people note that we're doing something different, and that this is a unique place, and one that sticks out a little bit.
Absolutely. First off, I'd like to thank John Deere Dubuque Works for inviting the school district and the Fighting Saints inviting the school district to participate in this. You know, our student body is probably the most diverse entity in the community, and the more we can create relationships between our students, their families, the community at large, and certainly the Fighting Saints are an integral part of that. It creates that relationship that makes education possible, makes our kids feel part of the community, part of what's happening here, and it just kind of creates an atmosphere which education can flourish in. So it's a great opportunity for us to share in that message and to share, do something demonstrable to our families.
And Oliver, Stan just mentioned a diverse community with the school district itself. The Fighting Saints have a diverse community in their own way, bringing players from all over the United States and the world for hockey. What has that meant to you in your 3 years as head coach?
Yeah, I mean, hockey as a catalyst to bring communities together is quite an extraordinary thing, and it's awesome to be a part of the club that is leading the charge in the best league in the world, the USHL, and to partner with gentlemen like these two and the companies they represent in the school district. Hockey's the most exciting game. I don't think we can argue that. And to be able to bring kids in to see that maybe didn't grow up experiencing it, and families that don't have a background in it, it'll get you, and it's awesome that community leaders are joining in the fight, if you will, to grow hockey and specifically this community. For me, what it's meant to just be involved in an international sport. It's one of the reasons I enjoy coaching, to be honest. I like the kind of the adventure aspect of it being in an international community and getting to know about cultures from all over the world and learning how to communicate and commingle. So it's right in line with the things I value in life, and again, I'm glad to be a part of the club leading the charge.
And Mark, going back to last year when we had the discussions, when it first started, Hockey for All, it was pitched to you. Why did you get behind it? Why did you think it was important for John Deere Dubuque Works to be involved?
Yeah, we're very involved in initiatives around diversity and inclusion within John Deere, and especially at Dubuque Works. And we've, I think, often said that we can do a lot at our factory, but and in our operations, but only a certain amount of our employees' time each day is spent at work, and the rest of it's in our community. So we needed to get involved in the community as well, and so this just seemed like a nice complement to a lot of the things that we were embracing, trying to make our overall organization more engaged in terms of being inclusive and being out and being a champion of diversity. The community needs that as well. So when we come upon this opportunity, it seemed like a nice way to bridge out, and we do that in other ways as well, but a nice way to bridge out in a bigger way and have an impact, and with a sport that wants to do the same thing. So it's just been a really a nice complement to a lot of things we're doing.
You mentioned it being a nice compliment, and Stan, the Dubuque Community School is now a nice complement to this partnership as well. For kids in schools, I think we talked about this in a meeting previously, but do you guys have sort of a similar curriculum that kind of dives into the overall message of Hockey for All as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure all of our students, regardless of what their background is, feel welcome in our school district. And as Mark said, they spend a certain number of time at work or at school, but also in the community. So we spend a lot of time with our students, building relationships with their families, and to share in the message that, hey, this isn't just during the school day kind of a thing, that this is a community that's open to including everybody in what's happening here. Sports is a great outlet for that. We create relationships, connections with families, and hockey is a great opportunity, especially for families that maybe aren't familiar with or been around hockey before. So we spend a lot of time in our school districts building those relationships. So to send the message that, hey, this goes well beyond the school day. This is where the community is headed as a whole, is a great message for our young people and for their families as well.
You mentioned leading the charge in the school district with this message. Oliver, you mentioned leading the charge in the USHL. Last season was the first year of Hockey for All. How important do you think is that Dubuque is the organization that's leading this charge? And also, how important is it for the kids that are now part of the Fighting Saints to be involved in something like this on their end?
I think it's very important. I mean, within our team, as you've mentioned, we have a substantial amount of diversity. Reggie Millette being a player from the Detroit area that the fans have extraordinarily embraced, chanting his name and just welcoming him. We've got players from Sweden this season in Canada, not so far away Canada, but nonetheless to kind of have those cultures mix have been extraordinary. And really one thing maybe overlooked in this in the outreach of the community, those things being the nature of our team, the learning indirectly that the players receive just being a part of that is kind of a microcosm of what it could be out in the community. I mean, imagine being from California, and which I don't have to imagine too much, in never having met someone from a small town in Sweden, maybe a fishing village, and learning all about that through hockey. So I mean, those are the things that excite me and excite our guys, and we actually, much like the school district, have a curriculum that we work on. Learning is one of our main values. We work on these things all day. So hockey is for everyone, also includes us in our locker room, and we make a point of using that as part of our education and being a part of the team.
Mark, second year of the partnership. Last year it was new to everyone, but it was also very successful. I think every single week you saw more and more people embracing Hockey for All. I know on our social media we had fans from all 16 teams commenting on the great initiative. On your end, for John Deere Dubuque Works, what were your impressions of year one? What are your hopes for year two and moving forward?
I think first thing I'd like to do is recognize the United Way. We were able to, through the effort and through the proceeds that we generated, just short of $14,000 that we were able to donate to the United Way, which impacts our community overall, and many of the nonprofits that are supported by the United Way, brand diversity and inclusion, right? They're a mix, and they help our community. Our goal this year, Stan and I said, let's try to get $20,000, and I thought by bringing the school district into this, that would give us a nice lift. So, we're giving back to the community, which embraces the inclusiveness that we're really charging for. So I think that was one of the bright spots. So it's really a four-way kind of a partnership. There's three of us here, but we've got the United Way as well as a beneficiary. So we're kind of excited to try to we outdo our goal and give back even more. I think one of the things that we saw last year that was really cool is we talked about the international representation from the players. They got to get a little bit more involved in our community, right? They got to go out and see and visit some of these nonprofits and get exposed and just see what some of the challenges are. And I think that's embracing diversity and inclusion in a different way, but it's also enriching those players too and embracing them in our community. So it's got a lot of neat connections. And I think there's tentacles that are kind of being drawn in a lot of ways within our community from this. And I just think if we can expand that, and that's why we pulled Stan's school district into this, because it just further expands the tentacles in terms of the impact.
And Stan, I want to go back to something you mentioned a little bit earlier, is the curriculum or kind of the message that you spread in the schools, maybe independent of Hockey for All before this even came about. But why do you feel that's such an important message to get across to those people of the younger generation at such a young age?
So obviously the diversity, the inclusion, the equity pieces, that's the world that we live in, the world that we're making sure our students understand. We want all of our students to sort of maximize their potential. We talk about that a lot, to dream big, to have hopes, and exposure to things like hockey, to other cultures. It really helps broaden what they think about what they might do in their future. So I think part of that, in combination with seeing other business entities, United Way, all focused on, hey, we want the best for our kids. So really just opening horizons for our kids. This is a great opportunity to do that. It's also an opportunity for us to kind of help give back, right? So a lot of entities work hard with the school district, and United Way, John Deere is a fantastic partner. So if we can help in that process through the fundraising, through the Hockey for All night, that's a great opportunity and a great lesson for our young people and our staff as well. Hey, we've got to be on both ends of this. We can't just be the recipient, but we have to be active partners and participate in that as well.
Yeah, well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me so much today. Before we end, I do want to just get final thoughts from everyone. We can start with Stan and kind of move it down the line. But again, Hockey for All, just when that phrase is uttered, the message of diversity and inclusion, your final thoughts on just what it means to be a part of something like this.
Well, I think it's a great sign of where we're at as a community. Certainly appreciate the work of the Saints and John Deere to help push that message. It helps our students immensely to feel like, you know, the larger community is invested in all of them, regardless of their background, and that they can have dreams. A child who maybe never thought about hockey can be exposed to that and say, hey, maybe there is a place for me in hockey, or in so many other ways. So that's kind of what we're focused on.
Yeah, so for us, it's really about providing everything that we can for our community and being embracing kind of a community. So, like I said before, we have that we embrace that at our factory. We're nowhere close to being where we want to be. Obviously, we all have room for improvement. But I think just giving our employees the opportunity to come out and engage outside of their workplace in the same kind of charge that we have at our workplace is the main thing that and then the giving back to the community through the United Way. We donate a lot. Our employees donate a lot in terms of their time and their treasure to the United Way. This is just another way to kind of continue that and expand that even more.
Yeah, I think one thing you'll find if you come watch our team play, the kids love playing hockey. There's a lot of love that goes around during a hockey season, and I don't know anything better for a community to spread positivity and growth than love. If you come down and watch us play and you're a part of our family and the experience of being a Dubuque Fighting Saints fan, you'll feel it. And it's a really positive thing to have in any community, and I think Dubuque is lucky to have us here, to be quite honest. It's not something, there's only 16 cities in the U.S. that have this. Right. And to be a team that's leading the charge here from a stance of love and positivity in this sense, hopefully it catches fire and the community grows.
Well, Oliver, Mark, and Stan, thanks again for joining me, and thank you for being a part of Hockey for All and continuing to spread that message of diversity and inclusion.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.